Hi, this is Kathleen with My Happy Stamping Place, and today I'm going to be sharing with you one of the Stamp Club cards we made in my monthly hybrid stamp club for February. And this one is a corner fold card that's a lot of fun, so I hope you enjoy. All right, we're going to get started on this card today, the corner fold card, and it's just a fun, bright card. So this is what I'm using for this one. Jungle Pals and the coordinating dies. These are ones that you can earn for free with Celebration. So with the $50 order, you can earn the stamp set, and with another $50 order, you can earn the coordinating dies. And these are the dies that go with it. So they cut out the different animals. Then it also has like a tree trunk and some leaves and branches and grass, all kinds of tropical kinds of stuff. So besides the animals, it die cuts those other things. And then we're also going to be using a couple other dies. I can't stop using this one. This is Everyday Details dies. It's got the circles and the borders and the rectangles and another border. This is in the Spring Stampin' Up! Catalog of 2024. It does have a stamp set that coordinates with it, but this is also can be very much a standalone. And then to do the greeting, I'm just pulling in this piece, and that is from the Stylish Shapes dies, which I use all the time. It's got the circles and the squares and the different greeting tags there. So those are the pieces that I'm using for stamps and dies. I'm also going to pull in a greeting from this Hooray for Surprises. For this one, I'm going to do the Make-A-Wish, and this one is also in Stampin' Up! Spring 2024 catalog, so you can find that there as well. So let's get started. So this is the paper pack that we're going to start with. For my hybrid club members, this is the one you want to be working with. So this is Tahitian Tide. It is one of the spring, or not the spring, the in colors that was introduced in 2022, which means it will be retiring at the end of this catalog, the annual catalog here coming up in April. So if you have this color or you want this color, I would highly recommend ordering any of the inks, papers, or other coordinating pieces sooner rather than later, because this stuff oftentimes doesn't make it to the end of the catalog. It sells out, especially if you've had the ink. Make sure you grab that re-inker, because that'll make your ink pad last a whole lot longer. So this one is just 8.5 by 11 sheet of cardstock cut in half at the 5.5, the most typical card size that we do, and just scored at that 4 1/4 mark, and then just fold in half. So that's how you start out with this card. Pretty basic, simple, normal, what you normally do. Now we're going to be making a pencil mark on the card front side. So you just want to turn your card front, and actually this one I have scored wrong, so I'm going to have to refold this a little bit. I must have done it at the 4 rather than the 4 1/4 mark, so I'm just going to redo that with my bone folder, or this won't work out right. Okay, so there's your card front. You want to tip it on the 5.5 inch side. So when you're opening your card like this, it's going to be on this side, and you want to do a mark coming down from the top of your card front at the 2 inch mark, just a little pencil mark there. And next I'll be bringing in my paper trimmer, Stampin' Up! Paper trimmer. It also has a score blade on it, so I'm going to be using both of those in this card. So the dark blade is the cutting blade, so I'm just going to park that at the top out of the way, and I'm going to be using the score blade, the lighter blade. So what I want to do is line up that pencil mark in this groove where it'll either cut or score, and then tilt it till it lines up with the score line of your card front in the upper left corner. Once you have those aligned, go ahead and take your score blade and run it past a couple times to get kind of a diagonal score line. I don't know if you can see that, like that. Okay. So next up, I want to take my designer paper, and I'm going to grab this designer paper pack. This one is from the Be Mine set. So it's got all these fun different patterns, but it also has this one. So I'm using this. It's got a stripe on one side and the flowers on the other. So this one is cut just a 1/4 inch smaller than the card front. So it's cut at 4 by 5 1/4. So I'm also going to take this one, and I want to do a pencil mark on this side going down from the top at 2 inches as well. So just make my little pencil mark. And this time I want to use my cutting blade. So I'll do the same thing as I did when I scored it. I want to line up that pencil mark on the side with the upper left corner. And once I get those lined up in this groove here, this is where it'll either cut or score, and I just slice off that. So I have 2 pieces that look like that. Okay, so now I'm going to take along that score line that I did and just go over it with my bone folder to give a nice crease. Okay, next I'm going to take my designer piece and tuck it up underneath that flap so that there's a border all along. So I'm just going to take my adhesive and go ahead and put some adhesive on, and then place that, whoops, I'll grab that, and just center that on my card front. Okay, and grab this adhesive. Next, I'm going to take the opposite design and layer it on that triangle piece. Now, I will say that this is, for some reason, this doesn't leave a 1/4 inch border. You're pretty much going to be taking up that whole piece. There might be a little sliver of cardstock showing underneath, but I just wanted to point that out. So next, just lay that down in that folded flap. If there is a little bit left of a border, go ahead and use that. Okay, so that's what that looks like. Okay, we also have a piece that's also cut at 4 by 5 1/4 for the inside piece. You can stamp a greeting or whatever if you want on it. For now, I'm just leaving this blank. And I'm just going to go ahead and adhere that in the card. Like that. Okay. And then you're going to take your focal point. I am using this Jungle Pals one. There's this circle. Again, from that Everyday Details dies. I left a couple little pieces here that I'm just going to poke out with my Take Your Pick tool. I've got some company in my craft room, so if you see here's some paper crumpling. It's my son's cat, Fern, coming to join me. All right, so that's my circle focal point, and I already pre-die cut some of these pieces to make this go faster. Here's the toucan from that. I always think of Toucan Sam from Fruit Loops when I look at a toucan, so that's kind of my color inspiration for that. So I'll start out with coloring this with light smoky slate. If you've been with me at any length of time, you know I really love to color. Ever since I was a little girl, I love to color. I find it very relaxing and therapeutic, and just one of my favorite things to do. So, all right, and then I'm going to come in. This is the dark smoky slate, and I just want to add a little bit of depth. Go a little darker here. You wouldn't have to start with a light color, but I like to do that in case I see some opportunities for shading. I suppose I could do some of that here. Let's leave some of it not filled in. And I'll go back in with the light smoky slate and kind of blend those together and maybe leave some a little darker than the others. That's going to be subtle. All right, next, let's see, what color do we want to do? Let's do the tip of the beak in the Tahitian Tide. You can do this in all one solid color too, or blend whatever you feel it needs. I'm going to go light and dark Daffodil Delight, and I'm going to do it on this part that goes around his eye. And I'll pull in some of the dark Daffodil Delight. You know, with the Stampin' Blends, there's no right or wrong way to color. You just kind of play and do what looks good to you. I'm pulling in some dark color, not fully coloring that in, and then I'm just going to go back over it with the lighter one and kind of blend those two. Next, I'm going to take some pumpkin pie. I'm just going for a bright, fun looking toucan. Okay, and then let's finish off with, this is Melon Mambo. We'll do some Melon Mambo on this part of his beak. This is the light Melon Mambo. Let's do some dark Melon Mambo. Let's see where we go with that. We'll do that just at the top. I'll go back in with a little bit of light again, kind of blend that together. And there is our toucan. All right, so let's start building this image. I'm going to take this biggest leaf and I'm going to just take my liquid glue. You can use whatever adhesive you have. This is just the focal point. You can use what you have for your supplies. There's the big leaf on this. I'm going to put some glue on the back of the toucan, but I also want to make sure I've got my smaller leaves handy so I can tuck them in where I feel they are needed. So we'll go, let's tuck one in here. And let's do the last leaf. Let's tuck it down here like that. Okay, so that's my focal point. And here is my greeting that I've stamped ahead of time. So now let's put the rest of this card together. So now what you want is to grab some Stampin' Dimensionals and fold this flap out. And I'll use 3 for this and place them down like that. Peel off the backing and then just pull them down, burnish it a little bit so that it sticks nicely. So that creates that nice fold. Now I'm going to put my greeting on and my focal point, and I just want to kind of dry fit those to see how those are going to fit on my card. I want him up a little bit and the greeting overlapping a little bit. So I want to point out, so now on this greeting, on the side that's going on your card base, you're going to want a dimensional, but on the other one, you're just going to want some adhesive, because then it will lay in the same depth of this piece here with the flap that you've put the dimensionals on already. So I want to put just a little bit, I'm going to put a little bit of liquid glue on the back of that, peel off that dimensional. And again, make sure I've got it fitted the way I want it to, about here. Okay, then I'll go ahead and stick that down. And next I want to put some adhesive on the back of this, making sure I don't put some up at the top, because I don't want it to get stuck down to the inside of my card, because it's going to overlap that a little bit. So I'm just going to put some on the latter part here and stick that down. And you have your corner fold card. So pretty easy. And then here's just another version with a flower, and I'm using a different designer paper. I believe this is the Eclectic designer paper, that big paper pack in the annual catalog. Calypso Coral. This is Garden Green Leaves. And this I used, again, that Hooray for Surprises, the one I used the greeting for. I used the flower and the dies on this one to make this card. So Hope you enjoyed that. I will have pictures and supplies on my blog. Again, it's My Happy Place, myhappyplace.typepad.com. Thanks for joining me today. Bye.